Hello and welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are somebody who is finding that you're not getting the recognition that you feel like you deserve, you're putting in the effort, you're doing the things, you're showing up, you're doing everything, and you are not receiving the recognition, whether it's opportunities, abundance, however that looks, love, relationships, whatever area of your life, this video is for you. And you're going to want to grab a cup of something and sit down and listen because this is absolutely a powerful, I'll say lesson kind of I'm talking about here in quantum mechanics, and you do not want to miss this. Okay, super important. And this message keeps coming really clear right now. So I know that there are those of you out there that when you hear this and you really let it land, it will completely change how success finds you. Okay. I want to ask you a question here. Be honest with yourself. Be really honest with yourself. How often do you find yourself taking the higher road in relationships, situations, jobs, friendships, partnerships, just in life in general, out in society, out in the world at large? How often do you find yourself taking the higher road? Meaning somebody's, doing something that's not cool, not very nice, and you bring your beautiful high consciousness into it, your evolved, your self-awareness in it, and you smooth over a situation because you want to make the world a better place, or you want a smoother relationship, or you want things to work out, or you want a project to keep going, you want something to be successful. Like there's some reason, but you find yourself surrounded by people or in situations where you are the one that has to take the higher road. If you're being honest with yourself, I think you'll find that you're probably doing that a lot. Most people who find they're not being recognized do this a lot. And I'm going to dive into why you want to stop doing this. And that might trigger you because, I did this for a long time too, and I thought I was doing good in the world by doing that. And it turns out not so much when you learn quantum mechanics and you understand the energy behind all of it. Now, I'm really going to go deep into this. So I'm not saying go low or become an asshole. But there's so much nuance to this. So I'm going to unpack this here today. Super, super important. Okay. So if you think about it, and actually I look back over the last number of years, 5 to 10 years, let's say, there absolutely has been this kind of like group of people who are becoming more and more conscious, more and more aware. And we can see that there's stuff going on in the world that's not good. Right? We can see there's a lot of chaos in the world. If you look at the world just from what we see in the news, we can see it's not going in the direction that most of us want it to go to, right? And so there really has been a movement of those of us who are more conscious, who are heart-centered, who are kind, who are trying to make the world a better place. Relationships better, like whatever it is, a workplace better, wherever it is. And so what we have started to do, and what we did, is take the higher road. So when we see something dysfunctional, when we see something is wrong, we see something that's not working, we step in with our beautiful light and help make the situation better. Sounds beautiful, doesn't it? And honestly, I actually thought that was great for a long time. I was fully invested in this for a long, long time. I'm making the world a better place. I'm doing it. I'm doing great things. I'm helping bring consciousness to things. There is a problem with that energetically. Okay, so if you think about those kinds of a situation, okay, so somebody is doing something that's not cool, okay, every single time you step in and you take the higher ground, what you do, okay, what you do in that situation is you do more work. You take all your energy, you take all your time, you take all your effort to make a situation better. Right? So that whoever else is in that situation doesn't have to use their time, their energy. They don't have to really do any work. That's what you're actually doing. It's actually enabling. It's actually enabling. And that's not how it's been sold. That's how we've not seen it on social media. However, that's actually what it really is. And you are paying the price. you are paying the price, because what you're doing is you are taking all, like I said, all your time and energy to make situations better and easier for other people. And then, of course, we wonder why we're not achieving success, or we're not getting the recognition, we're not getting what we deserve. But we have to understand the energetics behind this. Okay, well, first of all, you're probably more exhausted because you're doing extra stuff, right? Taking all your time, energy, and everything else, doing all the emotional labor and all the the dancing around the footsteps to actually make things work. Okay, that's a physical level. Okay. But we need to look at this from an energetic perspective. This is so important, guys. So important. When you take your energy and your time to essentially save grief from somebody else, save somebody else time, make things happen, what you're actually saying energetically is that my time, my energy, myself, I'm not as important as this thing over here. Because you're sacrificing. You're really actually just sacrificing yourself. But that's the energetic signal that you're sending out. And it's so important to see this. So often we twist things to make them look nice, but we always have to look at the energy behind something. So the energy you're sending out is, I'm not as important. It's okay for me to sacrifice to make things easier for other people because I'm more aware, I'm more conscious, I can do it. But the signal you're sending out is, my time is not important, my energy is not important, I'm not important. And then we want the bigger things to come in. They never come in, because we have to understand that the signal we're sending out says, I'm not important. And the universe just brings you back, quantum particles just brings you back what you send out. So I'm going to give you an example that happened to me recently, because I want to talk about what you do instead, because it's really, really important to know, well, what do you do instead? Because I'm not saying you be an asshole or you be a jerk in life, right? Because often we do this thing where we take the higher road because we feel like we're doing good in the world. Like we do it from a really good place, right? It's not about being a jerk at all, okay? There's a middle ground somewhere from taking the high road and being a total asshole in life. There's a middle road, and this is what I want to talk about here. I'm going to bring in a really easy 3D example that happened to me recently, and I'm going to really unpack it here, and I think you're going to see at the end of this, you're going to see it really clearly. So the other day I was driving in traffic, and I was coming up to a light, and there was a person who wanted to do something like illegal in traffic, okay? They wanted to do an illegal turn. And I didn't realize they were wanting to do that until I reached a point where I was essentially blocking them. They couldn't do what they wanted to do because of where my car was, right? Now keep in mind, they were doing something illegal. And what I want to say right now is, well, why were they doing something illegal, right? They're doing something illegal because they want to save themselves time and energy, right? That's why we do something like that in traffic, where we want to make an illegal turn. We want to save ourselves time and energy. I don't have a problem with that, right? But by the time I realized this person was doing this and wanting to do this, because again, it was an illegal turn. You shouldn't have been ever turning there. I'm not looking for someone to turn. My car was in a position that I was blocking him. Okay. And it was him. I did see the driver. And so in that moment, I'm like, okay, he wants to make an illegal turn. I am blocking him. And I made a choice in that moment. I have a choice. I can either stay where I am in line, carry on the conversation I was having with my daughter. She was in the car with me and just enjoying myself and da-da-da-da. Or option 2 is I can spend, 30 seconds maneuvering my car around, figuring out how to move it so he can get through. I'm probably going to miss the light then, right? Because I'm actually waiting for a light. So I can sit there and enjoy myself with my daughter, or I can spend my time and spend my energy making it easier for this person here. Now, that may sound like nothing. It may sound like such a nothing thing. It's like, what's the big deal? It's 30 seconds to move your car. Maybe you were lost 2 minutes on your commute. Big deal, right? And here's the tricky part with this. On a physical level, it isn't a big deal in that moment. It really isn't. It's like nothing, really, or it feels like nothing. But it isn't nothing. it would have taken me work and energy, and it would have taken me time. Now, think about this for a moment. It would have taken me energy and time out of my day to help save that person time and energy. Think about that for a moment. It could have taken me time, or it could have taken him time. He wanted to make that illegal turn to save himself time and energy, right? Like I said, I don't begrudge him for that. I don't have a problem with that. That's cool. Like, whatever, right? But the expectation was that I would take my time and energy to accommodate him so he can save himself time and energy. Now, there's an older version of me that would have accommodated him. Actually would have, like figured out, move my car and blah, blah, blah. There's a version of me that would have done that. But now that I understand energetics, it's like, there's no way I'm doing that. Not to be an asshole. And you might say that sounds really petty. But when you really think about it, what it's actually sending out, the signal I am sending out to the universe is his time is more important than mine. His energy is more important than mine. And then we can't go out in the world and go, well, why am I not getting opportunities? Why am I not getting abundance? Why am I not getting all these things? When in these little tiny moments that seem so insignificant, they feel like they're nothing. They feel like they're nothing. But again, it's energy. The signal you're sending out is, I don't matter. I don't matter. I don't matter. I don't matter. And guess what? The universe brings you back situations that tell you you don't matter. Okay? This is huge. And so many of us do these things unconsciously because we've been doing it for so long, we don't even see it anymore. And you might think to yourself, what's being petty? And like, it can be perceived as absolutely petty. Now that depends on my energy in that moment. Okay. It depends on my energy in that moment, whether it's petty or not. So this is why I talk about reclaiming your power so much. So in that moment, it really was what went through my head was, I'm not going to spend my time and energy to make your life easier. Like that was the conversation. And it was a conversation like 15 seconds. Like it was just, no, I'm not moving. I'm continuing my conversation with my daughter. We're having a great time. Like it wasn't like a huge debate in my mind, but I didn't go, oh God, you're an asshole. Like I didn't do all that. That's petty. I'm not going to let you in, but it's just me going, I choose me. I choose to value my time and my energy more than making this person happy. Because let me tell you what happened when I didn't let him in. He was pissed. He came right up to my car, like within inches, and just like stared me down. And I'm like, that's really interesting. You wanted to save yourself time and energy, and you wanted me to take my time and energy to help save you time and energy. We have to see things for what they are, not to get angry about them. I call this like a healthy acknowledgement. We have to acknowledge the energetics of situations, not the 3D part of it. Because the 3D part, yeah, we could say, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? Just move. Like, who cares, right? It is so easy to do that. But we have to always look at the energy because we've been trained to look to the physical world. So what we do is we put significance on things that are big in the 3D world, right? We look at the little things like they're just nothing. But energy doesn't do that. Energy doesn't look at little things and go, oh, they're just nothing. That's not what energy does. There is a difference between the energetics of doing a big leap of faith and doing small things. Yes, there is. I don't want to say that there's no difference in big and little things. But what I'm saying is humans have been taught that those little things don't matter. Like they just don't matter. But when you understand energy, you understand that they do matter. They really do. They matter way more than you think they do. And so in that moment, the higher road might have been me, like I said, moving my car. The lower road, like the going below, what I'll call like below the belt, like being an asshole, would have been me like flipping him off and getting all pissy and right? There's the middle road of me choosing me. from a place of sovereignty, from a place of self-love, from respecting my own time and energy. Because when I respect my own time and energy and I value my time and my energy, I get opportunities that come to me that respect my time and energy. Okay, this is so, so important. And and I was thinking about this before I came on to shoot this today. I actually knew I was going to talk about this. I don't always know what I'm going to talk about, but I knew I was going to film this today. Somebody in his position could easily say, well, like, this is just what we do for each other in traffic. Like, you let me in when I want to make my illegal turn and I let you in and blah, 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 blah. Right. And that sounds lovely. It sounds very reciprocal, right? It sounds like, oh yeah, this is what we do for each other. And somebody could easily argue that. But here's the nuance. I don't ever do that. I don't actually ever do that. I don't actually ever expect people to take their time and their energy to accommodate me so I can save my time and my energy in a situation where I'm doing something like illegal or wrong. Like, there's the rules of traffic and there's the rules of, it's kind of like things you do in life, right? But I don't ever expect to take a shortcut in my life and expect other people to accommodate me and make my life easier. So it's not really reciprocal. It's actually me just giving to you. And we often think that we're doing this out of the kindness of our hearts. But this is the part I also want to really have land here for you. When we take the higher road, we can convince ourselves that we're doing this to, make the world a better place, that we're just trying to get something done, that we're just trying to avoid a conflict, or we're just trying to make things easier, or we're just trying to smooth things over, or it's just not worth it. It's not worth getting in an argument about. Like, we tell ourselves all these stories. But I'm here to tell you something, and this one might sting a little bit, but I'm going to say it because this could potentially help liberate you, is that often we do that as a cover because we want to avoid conflict. We want to avoid an argument. We want to avoid a potential difficult situation. We're trying to avoid pain. Often we don't do it from a high frequency place. We're often doing it from avoiding something that we don't want to deal with. So there's a difference between being kind and generous and taking the high road. Those are two very, very different things. They're incredibly different. They're nothing alike. And the difference between taking the high road is we do this when we're trying to avoid something. Like I said, we're trying to avoid a conflict. We're trying to avoid an awkward situation. We're trying to avoid standing out in some way. Because here's the thing. In this situation, this example that I gave, this guy was he was totally rude. He came right up to my car. He was glaring at me. He was doing like hand gestures. Like, this guy was not happy with me. This is in the middle of Vancouver, a busy Vancouver street on a weekday morning. Beautiful morning. There's people and cars everywhere. That's going to be seen. It's going to be noticed. I don't care. Like, I really just don't care. An older version of me cared, but this version of me now doesn't care. Like, whatever. If you want to do that, like, fill your boots. Like, honestly, like, I'm totally cool with that. But we do the higher road to avoid situations that are awkward, uncomfortable. That's how you know when you're taking the higher road. When you feel like if you don't, something bad is going to happen. That's how you know it's the higher road. Because, it's funny because that same day, my daughter and I were on our way to the Vancouver Aquarium. And the Vancouver Aquarium is such a beautiful place. They have like a lot of seals and sea lions and otters. They're all rescues, right? They rehabilitate them. And if they can, they re-release them. But they take in a lot of like injured and sick marine mammals and stuff. And we were just walking by the sea lion exhibit when they started to feed the sea lions, right? And oh my God, they were so cute. I love animals. Like, I'm a huge animal lover. And they were just so freaking adorable. Like, they're hilarious, right? And my daughter and I just happened to walk by when they were starting the feeding. So we were right at the front watching this, right? And we were watching this for about 3 or 4 minutes. And I guess, people outside could see something was going on and people started to come in, right? And then all of a sudden I heard this little voice behind me that said, Daddy, I can't see. Like this little kid. And I turned around, there's two little kids, tiny little kids, right? And they're like, Daddy, I can't see. And I'm like, oh my God, like I've seen enough. Like, come in here, take my spot. Like, that's not taking the higher road. That is just being kind. Like, that's just like, I didn't even think about it. I'm not trying to toot my horn, but like, there's a difference. What I'm trying to point out is there's a difference here between taking a higher road and just being a kind person. It's a nuance. So let me tell you, there are going to be times where you will fool yourself and you'll think you're just being a kind person. And you're actually not. You're trying to avoid something. You're trying to avoid, like there was no price to me for not doing that. But there might have been a price for somebody else, okay? Like for me in that situation, I love kids. I love that they want to see the animals. Like my heart was so full of joy and happiness that I'm just like, oh my God, I wanted to share it. Like, I'm just like, yeah, let's all see it, right? That was my energy. But somebody else in that same situation might have the energy of, oh, I don't want to be perceived as somebody who's not kind, right? Like this, there's nuance to this. You can have the same exact activity, but let me tell you, it is very much nuanced because you've been doing all these things on autopilot for a very long time, potentially your whole life. Like for me, like I said, for many years, I would have let that person, I would have accommodated that person in traffic for years and just thought I was being a kind person. I would have told myself I was being a kind person. So why wouldn't I do this? Why wouldn't I just do this for him? But again, you look at the energetics and you realize that's not actually being kind. That's actually not being kind to me, right? So there's a lot of nuance to this. And there are times when you have to realize if you're doing this, that you may be the villain in somebody else's story. You might be. Not everyone's going to like you for not continuing to take the high road, because if you have been in relationships, in dynamics, in life, whatever it looks like, if you start now standing in your truth, standing in your power, choosing yourself, standing in your sovereignty, this is what this is all about, okay? This is what this is about. You might really, really annoy some people. And this is, again, why we avoid it. Because we don't want to be the villain in somebody else's story. I'm okay with being the villain in someone else's story. This is not about being selfish. We have reached, and I'm going to go a little bit global on this right now, because one message that's really been coming through lately, and I've been talking about this more and more in my videos, is that we've got kind of like two camps in the world right now. We've got people who are like entitled and who are takers. And I don't just mean at the top. I see this everywhere, right? Like I see this everywhere. You do too. And we have the people who've been raising their consciousness and healing, but are not ruffling any feathers. This dynamic will stay this way as long as those of us who are conscious and who are heart-centered, as long as we continue to not ruffle feathers, the world will never change. Your situation will never change. You see, the world situation only changes when we all change, right? You have to be willing to ruffle feathers if you want to create success for yourself. You have to be willing to ruffle feathers. And that means not taking the higher road. And that's going to mean choosing you. And that may feel as uncomfortable as fuck. But if you're not willing to do that, then ask yourself if you really want success, right? You have to prioritize your time and your energy, period, full stop. Because that's when you bring in situation, opportunities, abundance, and everything that mirrors that back to you. That says, I value your time. I value your energy. I value your effort. But if you keep putting all your time, energy, and effort to people that just expect it, they're not valuing it. They expect it. How many relationships, how many situations do you have in your life where people just expect you to do that? I did a post recently on LinkedIn where I basically said, how much are you putting effort into keeping things afloat that are meant to sink? Some things are meant to sink. Some things are meant to go away. Some relationships are meant to go away. Some situations are meant to go away. If you're holding things up by you taking the higher road, It's a good chance that's meant to either A, go away, or the other people in the dynamic need to start holding things up. They need to start putting in the effort. In this world, and I said I call this like a healthy acknowledgement, because I see there's been a lot of bypassing in the last number of years. I see a lot of people who are just like, oh, I'm just going to stay in this high frequency. I'm just going to stay in this place of like not acknowledging what's going on in the world. I'm just going to stay in my little bubble up here. And that's not actually effective, because you're not standing up for yourself, right? You're not choosing you, because that's what really it is. It's choosing you and being willing to ride out any consequences of that, whether it's public embarrassment, which I don't actually see as embarrassment at all, but some people will. Somebody not liking you, somebody thinking you're awful. My whole family thinks I'm awful. I think I'm just horrid person. Like they actively hate me. Like I have a sister who actively like hates, like spends concerted effort. I am absolutely the villain in her story. And I'm okay with that. I'm absolutely okay with that, because I chose me. I chose healthy dynamic, healthy relationships. That's my choice. You have to be willing to be a villain in somebody else's story. You're not here to be liked by everybody. Okay? Anybody who's a trailblazer and a forerunner right now, your job is not to be liked. Your job is to live your life on your terms. And when everybody else starts seeing this is how we change the world, right? But again, I don't want you to focus on you changing the world. I want you to focus on you. What makes you happy? What does choosing you look like? And where in your life are you taking the higher road? And I'll say this one more time just to wrap this up right here, is, are you doing something to avoid a potential negative consequence? That's how you know if you're taking the higher road at a cost to you. At a cost to you. All right, beautiful soul. I would love to hear comments on this, and share and like and subscribe. It really helps get the message out there, helps me on my platform. I share a lot of free content and I appreciate the support. I want to keep doing this. Obviously, these messages need to get out there, but I also need support in actually helping that get out there. So like I said, like, comment, share. It's much appreciated. All right, beautiful soul, take care, and I will see you in the next video.